Hey, what's up? This is Frank Bello, and you're listening to SuperUnknown with Dana Distortion. Turn it up!
I'm very excited to introduce our first guest. He's the powerhouse bassist for the ultimate thrash metal heroes Anthrax, and he's also in the supergroup Altitudes and Attitude, along with David Ellefson of Megadeth, who will be joining us later on today. Welcome to the show, Frank Bello.
What's up, Donna? How are you? What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Are you in your bunker as I am?
I am. As you can see, I haven't left the house in 2 weeks, and I kind of go crazy. I take my temperature.
Wow. I have the ear one. You know, the one that goes in the ear?
Oh, yeah. Does it hurt?
Works. Well, it doesn't hurt. Just that you have to buy. You keep buying those plastic things that have to go the cap for them. And I don't want to go out, so it's a little bit of a pain in the butt after you've reused them. It's kind of weird. But
you know, it's funny because they say like the first symptom of corona is like temperature. So like I keep doing it. It's perfect temperature, and I'm like, I feel so hot. I'm like, I know that I have temperature, and then I'm like, shit, it's only 36.5.
My doctor actually told me 99 is fine. Right?
99?
99 is fine. So because I'm a neurotic and I keep calling him, you know, it is what it is. And
99 problems.
Just be smart. Stay home. That's what I think. That's my public service announcement right now.
Listen to Frank Bello and stay home. So how are you dealing with the situation? What's going on? Tell us a little bit about your daily life right now. Just
like everybody else in New York and, you know, around the country, specifically New York, though, we're pretty much shut down here. I go out for occasionally, like once or not even twice a week now, for food. I have a family, and I put my mask on, my gloves. It's a whole deal. It's a whole deal here. You know, I literally stay behind people. I don't go in front of people. I stay 6 feet away. I follow all the rules because Are you
wearing anything in particular?
I have a box of gloves. I open my mail with gloves. I spray everything down. I spray myself. When I come home from those stores, I take my clothes, wash them. I'm a germaphobe as it is. So I was pathetic before this. I'm more pathetic now. So this is maybe way crazier than I've ever been. And I don't want to be around me right now. I don't want to be around me. I'm in the basement right now. My wife and my son are upstairs. It's probably better that way, just for me right now. This is my getaway with my music and all that stuff. But thank God for music, because without that right now, I'd be bouncing off the wall. So I know everybody out there is hopefully listening to some good music and getting away from all this.
Yeah, we'll give some recommendation later of stuff that you think people should listen to if you have some. Sure. Is your family good? Is everybody good? How are the kids taking it? How is
Yeah, it's all good. You know, the whole thing in New York right now, I could just speak from New York, what I'm dealing with. We have to do all the homeschooling now. We've never done that. My son goes to the local school here in town, and we've been sent all this stuff. And look, I haven't been to school in quite a long time. I've been on tour for most of my life. And to learn, and there's all this new math going on. There's new math. I don't know if anybody out there knows that who's not a parent. But man, some of this math, I'm Googling everything. So if you're a math expert, please email me. Or DM me, because I need all the help.
I think that you should teach is it a him? Is it a son?
It's a boy. So
you should teach him to drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, and play the bass, no? Yeah. Isn't that what you did at school?
No smoking, but I did everything else. It was mostly music, but, you know, I had a lot of help in school. My friends were smart and helped me out with all that stuff. I was never good at math. I don't know about you, but I was never good. I'm still not good at math.
I'm still not good at math, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So talking about teaching in school, do you do any like bass lessons or anything like that right now?
I'm still learning bass myself. Why would I give lessons? Now
I know a lot of musicians now doing like Skype sessions and stuff like that.
Look, we're doing something special that David will probably talk about later. But you know what? I just really learned on my own. I'm still writing. What I've been doing at home right now, it's a great time to write. It's you're locked in a room. You really have no choice. And I have the itch to play all the time, so it's a great writing time. You know, and there's a lot of emotion going on. There's a lot of emotion going on, specifically around the country, of course, and around the world. But in New York, when I say there's so many people that have this thing, it's stressing me out. It's stressing everybody out. So I guess this is a great way to release that anxiety. So writing, just listening to music really gets it out of me. I just put my headphones on sometimes during the day. And just try new things too. You go to Apple Music and listening to new music, it's kind of cool. Even the stuff you turned me on to the other day, which is awesome. Just listen to new music, give stuff a try. And you turned me on to this. This is from Sonaro, The Living Dead.
grew up in New York, so do you think
Yeah.
that like that prepared you to be a rock star? Like, how did growing in New York affect you and your music?
Well, rock star, I don't really understand that. For me, I'm a
I
musician.
knew you were going to say that. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
Musician.
I'm just a musician who got lucky. Really, I work hard. Look, I've worked hard throughout my life, and you have to work hard, but you also need some luck. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very thankful for how lucky I've been. That's not just saying that either. I see how hard it is. I have a lot of friends in upstart bands, and I see how hard it is. And look, it was hard in the '80s when we started, also. But if you want it bad enough, you have to stick with it. And
But do you
I
think
love
that growing up in New York came to your advantage? Like you were already in the scene, you didn't have to like move anywhere.
There wasn't much of a metal scene back then, in
Where
the
was
'80s.
it?
Well, there was Maiden, there was Priest, Sabbath, all that good stuff. Of course, that was there. But the thrash metal, remember, we kind of brought that about with Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, I'm very fortunate to live in New York, growing up in New York for what we did. I think it put an edge. I have a little bit of an edge. If people know me, I have a bit of an edge to me. I try to be nice, but I definitely have a New York edge, but within reason. I don't want to be a dick either, but there's an edge, I guess, to my writing and to what I say in my writing and stuff. So my bass playing, I know there's an edge.
Yeah, let's
So,
talk about your bass playing. How do you describe your sound, your individual sound?
It has to cut through. My sound came from way back when I have Charlie Benanti playing drums, who has really big kick drums, really big drum sound, and Scott Ian on the other side, really heavy, thick rhythm sound. And I have to get in the middle of all that and somehow cut through. So it took a lot of frequency testing of what worked with Anthrax to get it to hear the bass in the mix. And that took a lot of testing. Eddie Kramer, famous producer Eddie Kramer, did Among the Living. Awesome. He helped me a lot with that on Among the Living, and we took a long time to get in on that. And that's where I really learned about frequencies and where you place things to make everything sound great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you play with a pick or with your fingers?
Play with both. I'm a finger player by nature. I just love the way
Yeah.
it just, for me, that's what works. But I play with the pick quite a lot, and especially when I play 12.
David, I believe, is a pick player, correct?
Yeah, David's a great pick player. David's a great bass player. He's a really astute bass player. He's got the whole thing, which I really appreciate. I love the way we work because we're different bass players, but we come from the same place. And we very much appreciate
that
each other.
because he's listening to you right now.
Yeah, I want to be good. See, if you would have had me off, I would have said a bunch of nonsense. No,
exactly.
I loved. Everybody knows I love Dave. We get along really well. That's why we're partners in this Altitude.
I sure do hope so. If you have a joint project, right?
Yeah. How else can you do that with two bass players?
Anthrax was the first metal band to be played on Mars.
Wow, imagine that. Yeah, I heard they played.
Can you tell me how did that come about?
Quite honestly, apparently there's a fan somewhere that was in charge of all that good stuff. And I just got the email about it on a press release. And I was pretty stoked to hear it. I said, all right, I don't know how that affects me at all, because it probably doesn't. But I guess somewhere in some history book, that'll be in there.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool. But, right now, I just want to save people's lives in America and in the world. That's what's more important right now.
What's the difference between the different genres of metal? It's something I always wanted to know, the actual differences.
Oh, you know what? I didn't make up those terms. I just played the way I felt. For me, you got this thrash metal, this heavy metal, this pop metal. Music is music to me. I've always said that. Music, we're known as a thrash metal band. Fine, okay. But for me, I just love music. I love everything about music. I think it's a gift from God, or whatever you want to believe in, that it's been put on this earth to make everybody feel a little bit better about the shit that goes on. And so I think all music is great. And I don't like to just say this is this is this.
I don't like the definition. I don't think it's like.
No, for me, I just like what I like. So you can't like that. You can't. No, I like everything. I do like everything. I give everybody and everything a chance. So you want to define it? It's fine. Nice. I just like the whole thing. Just listening to everything.
Are all metal people nice as you are?
No, I'm the nicest. You haven't heard that? I don't know. There's a lot of great metal people. There's a lot of good nice people, really good. David's a great dude. See, I have to say this because he's listening. But listen, David is a great dude. I mean,
I
we've always known that about David. He's the guy that is like the announcer. I always call him. He's a great announcer. He's got a great speaking voice. I love watching
Oh
him
my God, yeah.
when he does all that stuff. Like me,
Yeah,
I'm stumbling
I
over my
listened to
words.
his audio book, and I think he should have his own TV show. He has such
On
good
TV
stuff.
show, I think he should be doing all book readings. I think he should do all that because he's got that great speaking voice.
Amazing.
You know?
I really enjoyed the audio version of it. Speaking of books, I heard you are working on a book memoir.
Apparently, yes. It hasn't really started. We're just touching on it, and we're starting on it. Yes, it's in the process as we speak. But it's not going to be your typical metal book. It's really about me, my life, and what I've. If anybody knows anything about my life, there's been some trials and tribulations, and a lot of people don't know about that, and through my writing do know about that. But there's some hard stuff in there, and it's about how you can overcome it. All that good stuff, and how I came from that.
How is it that like people in music, their lives seem to always be more complicated than others?
Well, we make it that way. No. You know, want to know the truth? I think that's where the music comes from. I think that's where.
Do you feel like you need that to make good music? Like you need
it
come from pain?
I could just speak for myself. That's where it comes from. I have a lot of anger. I've been to therapy for my anger issues. I'm very open about it now because the therapy I think has helped. But look, I'm a rager. I'm a raging guy. I have a lot of gut stuff going on in inner anger, and I think that's why I love this music. That's why
I really find those memoirs to be super inspiring and super helpful. And I think it's so important that you guys do that, and especially to people that love music and are probably about to go through these kind of things.
That's a good point. Look, it's not only about being in a band, it's about life. Look, I grew up without a dad. My dad took off when I was 10 years old. Sob story. The whole thing, maybe you relate, maybe some people out there can relate to, look, there was no money. We're on welfare. The whole thing growing up, going to college. Should I go to college? Should I go on tour with Anthrax? That was the split decision right there. I took the college of Anthrax. So and that's what really, after that, 17 years old on, I'm still going with Anthrax. It doesn't work for everybody, but maybe you can help people make decisions in their life and hopefully help people. Really, that's what it's about.
Well, what would be your plan if this didn't work for you? What would you do?
I'd definitely be a doctor.
Yeah.
No. I want to see people move on with their lives and help people. That's what I've always been like that. So I don't know what I would have done. I was going into baseball and all that stuff into college from high school. I wanted to go into that, but I don't think I was as good as the other guys, to be honest. And I love music was my first passion. So
but did you have most people, let's admit it, they do not succeed in music. It's very little.
Who knows? Nobody knows anything. And whoever says
was
that.
Was it an option for you though? Do you think like having the option of failure is something that you should have? Be realistic about it?
Look, here's one thing I do know about life. If you don't try things, you don't go anywhere. Right? That's the one thing I did learn in my 54th year of life. If you don't go for things, there's no reward.
But here, I do ask this question to everybody on the show. When do you think is the time to realize that you're not going to make it? When do you decide to quit?
I think listen to your gut. That's what I say. But I don't think you'd ever not make it. I just love playing. If I wasn't in a band, I'd still be in my basement playing this guitar right now. I still love music. So I don't think making it and all that stuff, you can still get I worked in my Uncle Joe's Deli while I was still in Anthrax for the first 2 records. So think about that. I cut meat. I was cutting cold cuts. That's what I'm not embarrassed about it. My thing was
like a bass playing.
I'm very good. I make the best heroes you ever heard of. The best subs. Let me tell you, I used to make great thick sandwiches, everything on it. I ruled. I was a great cutter, and I was always cautious. I put the blocker on so I couldn't cut my hand because I was a musician. You have to put the blocker on for the meat so you don't cut your hand off, which is very smart. See, I know all these
you know what? If we're already onto that, since people are home and bored, let's make a cooking show. Tell us how to make a good sandwich.
First off, it's all about the meat, right? I've cut down on the meat since I'm older now, but I love the good salami, mortadella. You know what a mortadella is? You haven't lived until you had a mortadella sandwich with like a little provolone on the side and cherry peppers, a little mustard. Here's the thing. You put a little vinegar. That's my little secret right there. Put a little vinegar on that with the mustard, spicy mustard. Who's better than you? Nobody.
Does the layering count? Does the layering matters?
I stack. There's no cheap sandwich. No. You got to stack and give them the money's worth. If you're paying $6-7 for a sandwich, I want to give what's right. I was always
What about pickles?
pickles. You know what? That's an acquired taste. You know, people want that. I'll give them. They have to ask for that because some people are allergic to pickles, and I don't want to hear them.
What's your heritage? Where do you? Where do you
I'm an Italian American.
Italiano.
I love Italian. I love all food. Let's face it. But as I've gotten older, my stomach doesn't love all food, and that's why this shortage on toilet paper. Let's go the other side now. The shortage on toilet paper is really having fun with me right now. So I was online at the store the other day, and because everybody keeps their 6 foot different distance here. Have you kept your 6 foot?
Everywhere, I hope.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
I got my gloves.
I did not leave the house in a month. Can't you tell? I'm like sitting here and doing this all day.
Yeah, see, yeah, I'm masked up, so I put my mask on, I put my gloves on, keep my distance and all that stuff. People want to talk to me. Not to be a dick. I just,
Yeah, how do you take selfie with fans right now?
Well, there's no such thing as selfies. No way. And people should know that. It just doesn't matter if you're in a band or not, or any kind of fame or anything like that. There should be no selfies anywhere. Only by yourself is fine. But who?
Are you upset when fans ask you for selfies? Is it annoying?
Not when there's coronavirus, yeah. Pretty much. Not
no. In general, when there's no coronavirus.
I don't mind that, of course. Now, you know what? It's going to be a pleasure, right? After we get past this coronavirus thing, it's going to be our pleasure to take pictures because we can get close to everybody again.
How long do you think it will be like that phobia of getting close to one another?
Me, I've got a good 10 years.
So what do you think, let's talk about, it's kind of depressing talking about Corona, but it is a reality now. What were you doing before? And how did that change now with the situation?
Well,
what were you planning on doing? Were you on tour? What were you doing?
No, I was home. I was pretty much doing the same thing in my house writing. And, but the thing is, what's hard about this now, Anthrax is writing a record currently. And this stopped because we have to get together and jam with each other. So Scott lives in LA, Charlie lives in Chicago. So we'd all have to go either to LA or Chicago to jam. Nobody's doing that right now. So we're talking just via email and.
What about Zoom sessions?
Zoom sessions, there's a little latency. And we were just talking about that. There's a little, it's not as quick as you want it to be. So if I played something, it would be behind, or somebody else would be playing something.
Whoever that finds something that overcomes that is going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, it would help all bands, all musicians. I think there probably is something that I don't know about yet that I hope people tell me about. I hope people tell me about it. At the Frank Bello, remember that, at the Frank Bello. Let me know if you know of any of these things coming on that we could actually jam and my band could jam together, and I don't have to get on a plane.
And in regular days and not days, what's the interaction between you and the band? How does that work? Who writes the song? How do you?
That's the whole thing.
Tell me a little bit about Anthrax.
We all write. We all send files to each other. That's what it is. And thank God for this email stuff and the file sharing. We do that, but you can't jam it. That's the issue. You can't actually get with each other and feel it out. And that'll come later after hopefully things settle down. But it's great having all the ideas, all that good stuff coming out. And it's great. We have a bunch of songs written already, but it's put a stoppage for a little while. But we're sending files, which is good. We're getting it up. We're finding ways to do it, which is great.
Show me your survival atmosphere and area.
My guitar. Yeah. What do I have? I have you're seeing everything. My guitars are right behind me. My basses and guitars.
Yes.
My stash. And this is my inspiration right there. Can you see that?
A lot. Ooh, Kiss. Hi, Kiss.
That's yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the show.
That's it. Welcome to the show, Paul Stanley says. Yeah.
For their posters, and they're gonna be going crazy. I'm already going crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm talking to my cat.
Yeah.
Want to say hi to my cat?
Yeah, sure. I'm allergic to them, but I'm glad we're doing it this way.
Charlie, you want to say hi? Well, it's a good time to be allergic to cats because you can't really get.
Exactly.
Wait, I'll show you my cat.
What's his or her name?
Charlie Chainsaw.
Awesome. Charlie Chainsaw. You're awesome.
Yes.
That's a beautiful cat. Absolutely. I love animals.
He's my quarantine boyfriend, yeah?
That's awesome. We have 2 rescues in my house. We adopted 2 rescue dogs.
Wow. Tell me about them.
They're awesome. It's actually from a place in New York City. It's called Social Teas. Mm-hmm. And we got it from them. And we got our last dog from them. And it's awesome. Just the potty training is not the easiest because we're doing it in the house now because.
Oh, yeah? You're not taking them out?
Well, there's people outside. We could take him out, but, in the meantime, he's making mistakes. So
now you adopted them? Yeah.
oh yeah, he's we have him for a few months. So potty training. He's 7 months old. So he's potty training. He's getting there. He's his name is Pumpkin, and he's getting
Good that
there.
you have masks. I hope you have masks.
I have masks. I have pads. I just went to Petco day before yesterday, and bought 4 big boxes of the pads because he's peeing and pooping everywhere. It's great when you step in that when you wake up. You gotta love the morning coffee when there's morning poop on the floor and you feel something slimy underneath your sock. Good times ahead.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So this is all fun stuff. You wanted to know what I'm doing. So after playing, so I eat breakfast, play some songs, right? Jam a little bit because I feel creative when I wake up usually. And then my son's here. So breakfast, all that stuff. Then we get the homework email. Now there's homework emails. See, my friend David's passed all this stuff because his kids are in college and all that good stuff. My son Brandon's in 8th grade. So I'm getting all the new math that I don't know anything about, all the good stuff. And I'm on Google quite a lot, put it that way. So that takes quite a while to do. So that's my day. And by then I'm exhausted.
I feel like the days are flying by, right? I can't believe we're like, a month into this shit?
Yeah. So right after the homework, it's called Frank time. And that means you open the liquor cabinet. And that's Frank time. After 5, I wait till after 5. And then I take the edge off, if you know what I mean.
All right.
And that's a good time. So it's not a lot, but that little pick me up after 5 gets me going for the night, and I'm good.
But it's kind of like, it's weird that you're like, I know that you're married and you have a kid and like, but all of a sudden your life kind of like stops and everybody's there all the time.
Yeah. My wife, we're fortunate enough where my wife, she works, she is now working from home. Her office had everybody home. So she has a computer set up here at home. That's what she's working upstairs. It's fine. And that's a challenge too. That's a challenge for her. It's a different lifestyle,
I feel like all of a sudden you're like, am I married to you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, hey, remember this.
Were you here all along?
You could also have social distancing at home also, because there's rooms. I come in the basement.
Tips about that.
No, well, the thing is, look, let's face it, we're all humans. And when you see somebody needs a little bit of space, because that happens, I give them space and I move into a different room. I'll go listen to some music, or I'll come down here and jam. I think it's all good, but for the most part, you're a family, so you get along.
How many people do you think murdered their roommates in the city by now? Because, there's like 5 roommates living in one room.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. That's that's where headphones come in.
You have an annoying roommate, you're screwed.
That's tough. And I feel for those people too, believe me. I don't have a big house. I have a smaller house, but there's only 3 of us here in my house, so it's all good. But I understand the people. I've been there too, where there's a lot of people in one room. You just have to respect each other, right?
Absolutely. That's a good advice. I think good communication is the key for it.
Communication. I need some space.
Give me some space.
There's nothing wrong with saying I need space.
What about your fans? Do you connect with them these days? I mean, I love that we're doing this show and we're going to bring some fans on the air to ask you some questions. I think it's really, really important to, keep in touch. But do you feel like distance now from everything?
I feel everybody feels distance from everything now, I think, because we're in a cocoon. Think about that. We're all in our little cocoons, and this is our way out. Thank God for this stuff that we can actually talk like to other human beings and get out. So look, social media is great. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. So within reason, I'll do some of that.
It's everybody keeps saying, like everybody's complaining about you getting like free time to sit and watch Netflix. And when I grew up, I was in the Gulf War. We were sitting in a basement with a real mask, okay, not this tiny mask, a mask, no television. You barely had phone line to see if your relatives are safe. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, you need to try and enjoy this. I mean, I know it's not ideal situation, but at least you don't have it half as bad as it could have been.
Absolutely. Look, there's a lot going on in the world for all the people who are sick. My mother, on a personal note, is going through chemo. I feel bad for all the people who are sick right now because my mother, she has to be really careful because she's going through chemo.
Oh, wow.
And so we have to keep her in the room my sister. She lives with my sister. So really, really cautious with that. The doctor says absolutely nobody visiting, nothing like that. So you have to be really careful with that stuff. So everybody just keep their distance. I think we'll all get through this.
You think so?
Yeah, I think we have to. What's the alternative? Right? Move on. Stay positive. What else? What else? You're gonna stay negative? Negativity. Here's what I've learned in my
Positive,
life.
but not Corona positive.
No. Because this too shall pass. Remember that. We're stronger. We can do this.
I'm glad you're giving hope to the fans at home. I think it's very important to do these kind of things, connect with the fans, keep playing music, doing all these like live streams. I think it's very helpful. Like people really need hope right now. And I think like the more this goes on, people really need that,
Yeah, because look, it's all about staying positive in your head and moving on and just keeping yourself occupied. Be creative. Draw. If you write stories. If you draw drawings. There's so much to do. Read books, all that stuff you wanted to catch up on. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make new stupid sounds. I have a bunch of, hold on for a second. I have a bunch of pedals.
Yeah, show us some stuff.
I have a bunch of bass pedals that I haven't tried in a long time that I'm pulling out of everything, all the places in my house that I'm just trying new ideas. Why not get creative with this? And maybe something will click in a song, writing a song or whatever that is. If you're a musician, just do different things. Try to make new sounds to get yourself going. That's what I'm doing. I can only speak for myself. This is what I'm doing.
I think it's great. And thanks for keeping the positive life. I think really everybody really, really needs that.
It's tough right now, but we'll get through this. Everybody knows we're strong. And look, Americans are strong. The world is strong. Humans are strong. We'll get through this. It sucks. It definitely sucks. But,
we don't underestimate it, but we try not to.
Look, we'll beat it.
Dwell on it too much.
Exactly. Don't dwell on it.
You watch a lot of news.
I stopped watching news because it's repetitive and I think it's pretty negative. I think people have their own views, and I watch BBC for the real news about what's really going on, and I watch my local news just to find out what's happening in my area.
Yeah.
But I don't watch it all the time because I think it's kind of a bummer, and I kind of a little bit. I'll find out what's going on for the day and move on.
Yeah. Take a little and you can't be ignorant, but you can be completely involved in it.
Yeah, because who wants to hear negative stuff? There'll be a better day.
Yeah, Frank, you're amazing. All right, Frank, thanks for being on the show. Frank, what are we going to listen to now?
You're going to listen to Booze and Cigarettes.
By
Altitudes and Attitude, of course.
Take it away.
Everyone's gotta live for today. Nobody knows when it's going away.
I'm super excited to bring into the show my good friend and the iconic bassist and founder member of legendary metal band Megadeth. Welcome to the show, David Ellefson.
Hey, Donna, what you doing? How are you?
So good to see you.
Are you hunkered down?
I'm going crazy, you can tell. I think it's getting to me, man. I think it's like I was fine.
How long have you been hunkered down? How long have you been
quarantined?
quarantined?
For a week or so, and all of a sudden I call Asti every day. I'm like, I have some chest pain. I'm coughing. He's like, Donna, you're fine. It's anxiety. So welcome to the world of anxiety.
Thank you. Look what I just got served. 2 delicious hot dogs. This is my quarantining. I got to say, my quarantining is going extremely well.
Wow,
my New Jersey Italian wife just walked in with food, and so I might have some hot dogs stuck between my teeth and relish while we're talking here.
You look very refreshed. You do like face masks and like stuff like that.
No, you know what? Unfortunately,
down at home?
Out here, I'm in my home office here where I basically spend most of my time when I'm home off tour anyway, working on songs, writing, emailing, business stuff that we do. And so quite honestly, so far, thank God, it's pretty much just business as usual, except just mandatory staying in. I mean, I bought some bikes at Costco last week, and I put together 4 bicycles. Bicycles, yeah. And so we've been out riding around. It's not very crowded here at all. It's not very densely populated, so you can easily go out and ride it. And if you see somebody a quarter mile ahead, you immediately turn off the path and make sure you avoid them and make sure you don't come anywhere near them. But it's actually okay. I mean, it's been okay. Now, Arizona, of course, we're a pretty remote little area of the country, Phoenix is a pretty big city, but I live outside of Phoenix, out in the suburbs and stuff.
I really think that for once, the heat of Arizona is for your benefit.
I think so. I mean, I've been actually sitting out by the pool, just trying to get sun every day and getting a little vitamin D and, working out and just trying to stay healthy. I think that's a big part of it, is staying healthy, try to get ahead of it as best you can. But,
I know you have your coffee line. I think you should start doing like face masks and
coffee masks. Do a coffee mask.
Yeah,
you can stay properly caffeinated. It's funny. I think we're actually going to do a push on that this week again because people are at home, and what better thing to do than drink coffee and get completely hyper when you're claustrophobic and you're quarantining.
Oh wait. Let me step away and bring the coffee because we're actually doing a.
You have some? You have some there?
Yeah. Hold on.
We pause now for a word from our sponsor. This segment brought to you by Ellefson Coffee Company. Delicious, smooth tasting coffee for all of your quarantining needs.
All right. So,
and she's back. Okay, what do you got?
All right, guys. So hey guys, I'm back. So I interviewed David for another project I'm doing last year, and I got to go to his coffee brewery. And lucky me, he gave me a bunch of coffee that is signed by him. And we decided...
Skid Row's got the best name, too. Slave to the Grind.
I love Roast in Peace.
Yeah, that one's pretty good, too. Yeah.
It smells so
That's
good.
the flagship roast right there.
And if David will let me, I will put one of those to send on a contest for one of the people who listens to the show.
We can do that.
It's signed by David. Will you give me another one, though? For me?
I know a guy who can hook you up. Yeah.
I did not drink the coffee, but it's not amazing. I'm a big coffee addict. Thank you, David. So we will
deliver to your door. You cannot answer the door, though. We'll leave it at your doorstep.
We're going to make sure it's sterilized.
Yep.
And we're going to send it to one of your fans.
Sounds good.
Ready? It's from last year.
I don't even have any here with me. All I have here with me is my Kiss Cola.
Oh, wow.
Next, cool. Yeah. My favorite album, too, Destroyer. So I see your coffee and I raise you a cola. So
this is Kiss. I'm not promoting you. So
I know, but there's just the fun things, and then this guy here, right?
That's amazing. Also, I see you're very impressive. What is it behind you there? Behind you.
Over here is a Euthanasia gold album. That's gold, I believe, from Euthanasia from Argentina. Behind me is a Euthanasia platinum album from America. Next to it is a what is it? It's a Megadeth Greatest Hits gold album from Canada, and next to that is a Before disc that we were given Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax. We were each given plaques from all the territories that we went gold and platinum. I've got another one sitting over here. That's what, platinum for America sales, I think. So yeah, that was cool, especially for a DVD, one of the few things that can't be bootleg are, DVDs. As we recorded that back in 2010, we filmed that over in Sofia, Bulgaria, and was obviously a big moment, especially that people could go see it in movie theaters all around the world. As we filmed it, a few hours later, it went live to the broadcast in the movie theaters using, I think, that same technology that they use when they broadcast boxing and things like that. So very, very cool, very big time moment for thrash metal and for all of our fans. So
I wanted to ask you, what is thrash metal? What does that mean?
I don't know. Some guy came up with that. I remember watching an interview with Bobby Blitz from Overkill, and he goes, thrash metal. I was offended. I thought they were calling us thrash metal. And I agree. I was like, what the hell, thrash metal? What the fuck? That's kind of shitty to call us that, But I think the thrash thing is more like the Venice Beach skateboard thrasher. It's more that kind of mindset. And so really what was called thrash metal is basically our invention of taking influences from both the punk and the metal genres and putting them together. And, the allied forces coming together on the same campus was very unheard of. I remember when we debuted Megadeth up in the Bay Area, and Frank, I know, can attest to this with his, back in the New York area, as he was, growing up with Anthrax in the early days, seeing like guys with mohawks, like full on punk rock guys, in the same audience as like kind of long-haired Iron Maiden looking headbangers was like, you'd never ever seen that before. And that started with our genre.
So you did invent that genre, right?
Yeah. I mean, but kind of by accident. I mean, I remember one guy said that, when Dave was in Metallica, he was just a little too drunk when playing Diamond Head songs and inadvertently created thrash metal, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's what I say. Oh, the big four are Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, and Metallica.
Right.
What would be the fifth one if you had to choose?
I would say Exodus was absolutely there, really kind of even before. As you watch this new movie, Murder in the Front Row, that's out. It's the story of the Bay Area thrash, and it really is clear in that, because Kirk Hammett, prior to him joining Metallica, was in Exodus, and Exodus was a band that was in the Bay Area. And when Metallica moved County up to San Francisco, that they could acquire their new bass player, Cliff Burton, who lived in the Bay Area, that move up there landed them right at the epicenter of what was really starting. The initial groundswell was really starting with Exodus. I mean, they were probably the favored son of the faster, thrashier sound. But it took an 800-pound gorilla like Metallica to land there. And Metallica, as I understand, I mean, they had a buzz certainly around Southern California. Because this all happened in 81, 82. I got to LA in June of 83. I met Dave literally 6 weeks after he was out of Metallica.
Speaking of that, why do you think there's such a division between the Metallica fans and the Megadeth fans? I mean, I know Dave was the guitar player of Metallica, but why is it such a feud?
There isn't. There really isn't. Between the fans, there isn't a division at all, I don't think. No, I don't think so. I mean,
not like Metallica versus Megadeth?
Initially, look, obviously Dave was quite upset. He was, leave a band that went on to do amazingly big things. And I think probably Dave's biggest frustration was that he felt like the change happened and he wasn't there to sort of tell his side of the story. And I think probably the earliest years of Megadeth was Dave constantly, wanting to let people know, hey, listen, that Metallica success, I was part of that too. And unfortunately, they credited him on, I think, 4 songs on Kill 'Em All and 4 co-writes on Ride the Lightning. So, publicly, they did give him credit, for that. But, if you're not in the band and you're not there and you're not part of the, part of the recording act, you're sort of you're kind of a side part to the story. You're not in the middle of the story. So I think that initially was probably the biggest gripe Dave had. But
Speaking of Dave, I know that he recently announced he has cancer. How is he feeling right now?
He's doing well. He is now cancer-free. He went in as we did the tour that we just did over in Europe in January and February, we're over there with Five Finger Death Punch and Bad Wolves. And he told the story every night. And quite honestly, it was very emotional to hear him tell it. It was emotional to him and certainly for all of us. That moment when he was diagnosed and just kind of going, oh shit, now I got to go through this process, and
you were about to do a big tour, right?
We were recording. Yeah. Well, originally we were going to do the Ozzy tour, and Ozzy canceled. And then we were going to
a cruise coming up.
Yeah. We did the cruise. We did the cruise. Dave wasn't able to attend it, but we did the cruise. Okay. And a lot of really quite honestly, the guys in Anthrax and COC and Testament and Beast of Blanco, everybody pitched in to really step up and help with Dave's absence there, and there not being a proper formal.
Yeah, the fans I saw were very supportive as well.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. But but we had to clear the calendar last year to let Dave go through the process. But for him to come out of it, victorious and cancer free. Obviously, he's got to be careful, certainly in this time.
Was it hard for him to sing after?
He did okay. He did okay. I mean, we eased into it, and I worked with him a lot, as did Dirk and Kiko, but just kind of finding the range of the songs and making sure that he wasn't pushing it. There's a few dates where we did 3 shows in a row, and that kind of was pushing it. Quite honestly, being in that position we were on that Five Finger Death Punch tour, to only have to play a 1-hour set was a blessing in disguise, because there's no way we would have been able to do a 1.5 hour, 90-minute headlining show. There's no way his voice would have been up for that. So
it's really as for Megadeth, what stands out with Megadeth for me is that I think you guys are super serious. Like you're taking your band and your jobs very seriously. It's not about, I know that you talk a lot in your book that I read, by the way, and is amazing. Finally, I read it, David.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I've been wanting to read it since the Motorhead oath when we did the signing, but I finally got to read it. And I think you guys are like, you're so serious about, it wasn't, even at the times where you talk about, partying and drugs and everything you went through, it wasn't about that for you guys. It was always about succeeding and always about, making impression in your field and you really wanted to get rewarded for your hard work. And you talk about your father, and he taught you how hard work is important. I really see that with Megadeth. I really like, and I think that it's amazing that Dave went through this and got on stage so quickly and bounced back so quickly. And I kind of feel like he did that for the fans. Is that right?
No, for sure. I mean, it's one of these things when you don't have a plan B, you really conquered it on plan A, and I think, and like, what I was saying, when I met Dave in '83, I was right out of school. I mean, I was dead serious. I moved all the way from Minnesota over to Hollywood and landed in the cesspool of the Hollywood music scene. And there was a lot of great stuff going on. I mean, Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, Rat, all these guys just gotten signed and were starting to blow up. Right behind that was our genre, of the thrash stuff. But Dave, of course, again, having just been released from Metallica, I mean, he was just on fire to prove his value as a songwriter and as an artist, and I saw it right away as soon as I met him. I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's the real deal for sure. So it was a good union for the two of us to hook up. Very different roles inside the band, but it's
yeah, you said like you both had your kind of titles, and you went to win the war together, and like the division between your titles were I love that. It's like it really shows how, I think for a lot of bands, ego comes in their way, and again, communication, just like we talked about, people need to communicate. But you guys, you describe your relationship with him, and it's a very powerful, part of the book. How did you maintain that relationship over the years with all the, with all that, you're the only founding members of the band. You've been going through a lot of years.
To Dave's credit, he has stayed very true to himself. He's not a guy who's suddenly woke up one day and went, wow, what was I thinking? I should be doing that instead. He's been very unwavering in his commitment to what he does. When you hear him play, when you hear him saying, that really is him. And I think that's pretty much been unchanged over the years. I'd say probably to his credit, he's probably tolerated me having to grow up around him because I came from a very different upbringing, a family on the farm and a very different existence than what he grew up in as a city kid in Los Angeles. So he really taught me the ropes of how to grow up in the city. But I think our drive and our passion, we want the same thing. Sometimes we go about it a little bit differently, but again, that's, but those are part of our roles. And as I say in my record company, we call it stay in your lane. When everybody stays in their lane and does their part and fulfills their role, you're actually happy. I mean, Dave's the primary songwriter in Megadeth, and he writes great songs. He writes the song that people really connect to. There's an honesty to what he sings, so for my role as sort of the glue, the cement, the kind of the guy that the whole thing together. And
I think it's good, like, well, let's say for a band that just started, to really define what each other's roles and expectation. Will that help the band like avoid some fights or arguments and stuff like that?
Huge. And look, bands are going to have disagreements. You're going to have fun times. You're going to have struggles. You're going to go through all kinds of stuff. And, there's things that you can change and control from within, which obviously, everybody doing their part. And then there's things that happen from without. And I'll ref the early news when the Seattle music showed up. I mean, that suddenly out of nowhere, Seattle shows MTV turns all bands like Death, Anthrax, and Slayer. They just turned us completely off TV completely. And, we relied on our fans, to carry us through the next decade. And I think that always speaks back to the importance of staying connected to our fans.
You also said in the book that these days it's expected of rock stars to become drug addicts. And back then it was a shame. And what's the difference? Why is it okay to be a drug addict now and it wasn't back then?
I said that? I don't remember saying that. Are you sure you didn't just read that? Well, here's...
You said these days it's expected of rock stars to become... It's kind of, and back then it was a shame. You talked about.
Well, here's the thing. Back then, everybody was, I love Steven Tyler had a great quote. He goes, every time I listened to the album, I could almost define the album by which drugs we were using. And we started to go through a season of that as well. Oh yeah, that was when we drank. Oh, that's when we smoked. That's when the cocaine came in. Oh yeah, that was the heroin album. And you know what I mean? You kind of go, I think the Beatles were probably very much the same. And they were very open about, that was a different time, the 60s, early 70s stuff that they were experimenting with, that changed the sound.
But in a way, I almost think that drugs were more accepted then than now, in a way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I know that, and I think I talked about this in the book, is that, by the late 80s, suddenly everybody got on the sobriety chain. And, rock stars were getting washed up. They couldn't work. They were dying, and it was terrible, So there was definitely a mandated change in the industry. And I remember a manager that we had in 1988 told us, said, "Look, we want you to be very productive. We're here to make you very famous and make a lot of money together. And if you can do that on drugs, no problem. It's not a problem until it's a problem." They made it very clear there was no messing around. And that management company at the time managed Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, and of course Nicky had just gone through his overdose that he talks very openly about, his heroin diaries, the Dirt Movie. And so that was a big change, so as people were getting clean, it was like, okay, new day.
So last time I saw you last year, you showed me your sobriety coin, and I know you're extremely proud of your sobriety. It's something that you talk a lot about in the book. Seriously, I find your book to be one of the most inspirational. Hey, you have such a good voice, David. I think I really think you should have your own TV show. I'm not joking. Like, you're such a, it went by like this. Like, the book is fascinating. I think every fan of yours, every fan of Megadeth, every fan of metal, and actually every person in the world should read it because it's so inspiring. Really, I was very touched. I think you show a lot of strength. I love the parts where you're so open and you're so honest, and the parts where you talk about your honesty with yourself. And I know nowadays is not the same as like being a drug addict, but we are facing a lot of anxiety. And you talk a lot about anxiety in the book and how you dealt with it. Can you give some tips for the people at home of how to deal with it?
Well, I was raised not in a religious home. It's weird, there's this trend maybe, I don't know if it was in the 80s or 90s when it sort of began, evangelical movement that happened. So when people talk about, oh, you're, a Christian, or you're like a born again, there's this whole, I think, mental image of, oh boy, get away from me. You're like some kind of Bible bashing, Jesus, and that's not me, not my thing. I was just in a very traditional Lutheran house, home on the prairie, my little house on the prairie where I grew up in Minnesota. And that's what it was. I mean, everybody was a descendant of Europe, generation or two back, came over in the late 1800s. It was mostly Protestants, Germans, Norwegians, Scandinavians, and that was the farming community. And so that's what it was. We worked 6 days a week in the farm, went to church on Sunday. So when I moved to LA, obviously that all kind of went out the window immediately, because then I was, hell bent on pursuing, music, which I'd been pursuing as a teenager anyway. And, the problem with that is, I think when you start to move away from some of your sort of daily disciplines, and maybe even some, from, in my case, so I'd say the daily prayer, sort of faith regimens, I drifted and fell down into, a drug and alcohol road. And, fortunately, I got sober at age 25. And I never talked that much about it. I mean, it's not something that I boast about, because I think it's one of those things that you have to have some humility in order to maintain it. And I picked up I celebrated 30 years sober.
It's amazing. I mean, you were in a pretty early age, so it wasn't.
Yeah, pretty early age. Yeah, and I'm lucky, and I think sobriety, through the 12-step programs and rehab and that stuff. Initially I did not want it. I was like, oh God, this is just killing my punk rock parade. 7 ways from Sunday, no pun intended. But once I found, prayed as a God, please help. That really, it was that simple. That was kind of my surrender moment, and something happened, and I'm a big proponent that it's like, careful what you pray for, because it just might happen. And, when you reach out for help, and, you sort of have that desperation like that, something happened. So I'm very much convinced that, we didn't get here on our own. There's a creator of some sort that's brought us here. And my daily walk is just to, stay tied to that. Quite honestly, I always say God lives in the gut. Our gut tells us what's right and wrong. We know.
But you said that even though you were raised as a Christian, you didn't use God as God, but God, which is, what was that? What
good, orderly direction. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And yeah. You said in the book that it doesn't matter. At the time, you weren't very religious, and you didn't, but that sort of spirit really kept you through, that time.
Well, that's what people when I was first getting cleaned up back in, I first went to rehab in 88, and it kind of took until, March 1st, 1990 before I got clean. But during that process, that kind of 18-month process, there's a lot of little pearls of wisdom that the sober, told me. Said things like that, like, God, good, orderly direction. What's the next right thing to do? Sometimes people would just say, I don't know, David, what would an adult do? Instead of acting like a kid, what would an adult do? Yeah, they probably wouldn't do that,
Mm-hmm.
So little pearls of wisdom.
Like people can say something to themselves right now to kind of keep it, together.
Yeah. Like, well, as I was listening in earlier, as you and Frank starting the show here, like he said, this too shall pass. I mean, that is it's a biblical truth. This too shall pass, and things that happen are not all that there is. And I think when I started setting my sight on higher things, on just earthly things, suddenly there's a levity that happens with that, and you kind of go, yeah, look, I'm probably okay leaving the planet. I'm not looking. The dying part might suck, but the being dead part, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
A couple things happened. My brother died of cancer a few years ago, and he was only about a year and a half older than me. And it was with my mother about 3 years ago, and she passed for her final breath. And it's amazing how just kind of uneventful it is when someone dies. There's a and then there isn't, and that's it, and it's done. And I think probably that moment, that was 2016, that moment right there really got me into action of a mindset of that said, all the things that I've been thinking about doing, all the things that I've been wanting to do, if I'm not doing them now, then we're going to do them. So a sort of, if not now, when attitude really propelled me forward to just get into action and, kind of live for, in my mom's legacy a little bit. She put me here on the earth. She raised me well, my mother, and live a life that would honor them and make them proud.
You're definitely one of my favorite rock stars. You're so nice, David. Seriously, I'm gonna cry. Everybody on the show makes me cry always. Seriously, really, you're very, I find you to be very inspiring in your business attitude and your, do you help other people right now in this time of crisis? Other addicts, other people that need help?
Yes, it's funny. We're on Zoom platform right here, and Zoom is how all of us sober addicts and all around the world. I've used Skype a little bit in my travels, but it's kind of like I play the bass in between the meetings, and I think it's just I was taught early on, put first things first. If you lose your sobriety, you'll lose everything else. So make sure sobriety comes first. Make that the priority.
Seriously, I can't thank you enough for doing this, guys. Like, it means so much.
You're welcome. You were very welcome.
Now, let's listen to a song and call Frank in so we can.
Sure, let's do it. Cool. All right, this is a song called DOA by G-Bombs, and these are cool songs. It's funny. I like to hear new music, and new doesn't come from record companies anymore. It comes independently. It comes across the web, across YouTube, all kinds of different things. So it's been fun to check out some new music. So here it is by G-Bombs, DOA.
Show. Thank you. I'm great.
Can you introduce yourself and where you're from, please?
Okay, so my name is Martin. I'm from Czech Republic. I'm 16, and I started playing bass like 3 months ago. And I'm a pretty big fan of Megadeth. I've bought your signature bass. It's the 5-string, and
thank you.
I just want to take a good care of it. So yeah, my question is, if you have some advice on daily maintenance or.
Sure. Yeah. No, actually, great question. I see so many instruments that are not set up properly, and like the neck is bowed, so the action is really high, so it's very hard to press the strings. If you don't know how to set your instrument up yourself, take it to a shop where they can set it up, put some new set of strings on it, and strings. I don't know how much you play, but a set of strings, if you're not out playing shows and a set of strings probably last you about a month maybe at home. If you're out performing and rehearsing and that, you probably should be changing them about every week. And, that just, I think those are just things. If there's a battery in that bass, so make sure you're changing the battery probably once a month or so, at least once, maybe every 2 months. And don't leave it plugged in when it's sitting don't leave it plugged overnight. When you play, plug in. When you're done playing, unplug it because it'll drain that battery.
Okay, thank you. And for the fretboard, is there some way you can take care of the fretboard? Or
well, I'd say the main thing is if you use polish and you clean the thing on a regular basis, the finger the fingerboard is very porous, so it starts to get dried out, especially in the winter weather. So try to, they have called linseed oil or at least guitar polish of some sort. Guitar polish at the guitar store. Spray your fingerboard down because it'll help keep the wood nice moist, and that'll help keep the fret seated into the wetter.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yep, you're welcome, Martin.
Right,
Have fun, man.
Martin.
Yep.
Thank you for coming to our show.
Yeah, I thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Oh, here we have a new guest in. Hello.
Hi, how are you? My name's Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay. Can you tell us
Hi,
where
Lindsay.
you're from?
Hi, Lindsay.
I'm from New Jersey.
Right down the street from Frankie
Yeah, you're about a bridge away. So how are you, Lindsay? Are you locked in,
and
Lindsay?
Donna.
Yeah.
Having fun?
It's pretty boring.
I know it's pretty boring. You know what? But we'll do what we have to do. We'll get by this. You know, we'll move on from here.
I have my guitar. That's all I need.
Good. I like it. Very cool.
We love your hair, Lindsay.
Thank you.
All right. So what's your question to the guys?
All right. So, what's one way your playing styles have changed over the years and throughout your careers and whatnot from all your different projects? Like how that has shaped your playing styles over the years.
Well, for me,
that's a
it's a good question. For
Yeah.
me, I mean, bass playing. I think through the years with Anthrax, I've gotten more tolerant. I don't try to overplay. I listen to the song more, and I play just what's right for the song. Bass lines, stuff like that, aggression, all that stuff. It's all about the song. That's what I've learned in all these years. So as far as side groups, Dave and I play in Altitudes and Attitude. I play guitar, so that's a completely different curveball, which I enjoy because that's what I do at home. Also, I write with guitar, so I do both. But anybody can do this. I'm sure you play bass and guitar.
I play my boyfriend sometimes. So.
Oh, that's cool. All right, yeah, you can do that.
I enjoy when people call and ask me to be part of things that are a little out of my wheelhouse and are different than what I normally do inside of Megadeth.
Are you hinting that you want some job offers, David?
No, not at all. If you need some bass, give me a call.
Lindsay, thank you so much for being with us. We got to take the next
Thank
guest.
you for having
Thanks so
me.
much for calling in.
Bye, Lindsay.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Sylvia. How are you?
Can you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Well, my name is Sylvia Oliva, and I am a former metal performer. I'm from Mexico City, and I'm here to ask a very punctual question about.
Hi. Hola. How are you?
Bien, gracias.
Hello.
Sorry we missed you a couple of weeks ago. We're supposed to be down at the Hell in Heaven. Frank, I don't know if you were there. Were you guys scheduled to be down there?
No, not on that one, but it would be nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So
Too bad.
we'll have to
Yeah.
take a check. Yeah.
Actually, I got tickets.
We canceled right before it. I'm sorry about that.
I know.
But probably for the good of everybody. We'll be back though. So well, Frank.
All right, so you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Which could be your advice for a former metal performer, me, turn it to mom, but trying her best to return back to the scenario?
You never stop, right? I'm a dad. Dave's a dad. You know what I mean? I know we do this for a living. I get it. And it's different because you're a mom, and I love moms. I'm pro girl. So what I love is that you have that caring, but you still have this passion, right? It's a great passion. There's no reason to ever leave the passion. You still have it. So why not? The husband watches the kids on a weekend. You get in the band, start doing gigs, go to rehearsal, right? That's the way to do it, right? Keep that dream alive. It's my opinion.
I hope that I could be so easy on that way, but my kid got very sick and I have to make a lot of things and take care of him at the hospital and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's a long story short, almost all my band ran away. So I'm now by myself and I'm just a singer.
Hey, then you have everything you need. Look, you start from you. You can get a bass player. You can get a guitar player. There's more musicians out there. Look, I've been to Mexico. There's a lot of great musicians there. So, you know what I mean? It's only for now. You know, this is just a time in your place for now. You can move on from this, get other musicians, start the jam in a little room and get it, slowly build it, right? Your child will get better, nurse them back to health, and then everything moves on, right?
Yeah, guys, let's put it out there. Let's whoever is in Mexico and wants to play in a band, comment on our Instagram page, and let's find you a new band. What do you say?
That'd be awesome.
You can start a Zoom band now too, right? You can go on Zoom and FaceTime and Skype bands.
Yeah, you can do it.
Start a new genre, Skype and Zoom bands.
Could be awesome.
So, yeah, let's find you a new band, and good luck. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks to you.
Best of luck.
Bye. See you.
Thanks you. Bye.
So just quickly tell me how your mutual project came about, what it's about.
Take it, Dave.
Okay, so 2010, we started doing these Big Four shows, which were very random and out of the blue, and greatly appreciated. And as we started doing them, Frank and I, as we do as musicians, we talk gear, and so there's an amplifier company called Harkey, based out in Long Island, and Frank and I were both using their products, and they started offering for us to do these dual bass player clinics together around the world as we did the Big Four shows. Pretty unprecedented that two bass players would do that. And so he and I started doing it, and I recall clearly one night in London, we were kind of playing along to some Megadeth and Anthrax songs, respectively. I just said to Frank, we should probably write some new material so we've got something like we're going to be doing more of these. And so after some time, we finally got serious about it and sent some songs back and forth to each other. Frank actually came through Phoenix on the Anthrax Among the Living, I guess, 30th anniversary tour, right? Yeah, 30th anniversary. Went down, I picked him up, came over here. My wife made us some spaghetti bolognese.
Really rules. She rules. Absolutely.
Craft service kicked in, and so she made us some food. We sat down, we broke bread, true Italian style, and then we just in my living room picked up a guitar and started going over ideas and sent them over to Anthrax's producer Jay Rustin, who's also a bass player, a left-handed bass player. Ironically, so when we're working in his studio in LA, we can't use any of his because they're all left-handed, and he's got some amazing guitars.
You both play bass on that project?
Yeah, played bass. Frank played bass a little bit. There's a song called "Here Again," which is kind of out of our EP. We initially 3 songs, 2 that Frank wrote, "Booze and Cigarettes," "All the World," and then another track, "Here Again," that I initially composed it really as a backing clinic track, just for me and Frank to just jam over, and we developed it into a full song with lyrics. We had Gus G, who was Ozzy at the time. He played a solo on it. Jeff Friedel plays drums on all our tracks. He's the drummer for Perfect Circle. And Jay Rustin, became like a fifth Beatle for me and Frank. And Frank said that, look, I think I got the guy to put this together. He's our producer, Jay. He'll get it, understand it, and he'll sort of have the patience and the temper to help us develop it, So, but quick, we went in the studio, one weekend out in LA, and we had the 3 songs. And we spent the next several years just in our free time getting together in LA at Jay's place, putting together the rest of what became the Get It Out LP that came out about a year ago on Megaforce Records. And Frank's team with Megaforce, Missy over there was very supportive and just really got behind the whole thing. And it's nice that she supported Frank because he's also of Anthrax, and of course that's a big artist on the Megaforce label. So it was cool that the guys in Anthrax and Missy and everybody really supported Frank stepping out and doing something very different. And Frank sings and plays guitar. So Frank's very different role.
Very unique. It's a very unique project. And luckily we did a photo shoot with both of you.
Yes, and you did those photos. Yes, that's right. Actually how we connected.
That's right.
Well, I guess we connected through some Megadeth show or something. But then, you came over. Remember, I was staying at some little hotel down in Chelsea, and you came over and said, "No problem, I can make this work." And you ripped the room apart and pulled curtains over and stand on a balcony and put some coats on. And
Dad, you did a great job. That was great.
You were a true artiste, Donna.
Yeah. Those.
And that room was tiny, and I think we really made the best of it. And luckily, now I think I'm the only person almost that have photos of you together, so we can use them for the podcast. So
she really stylized us, right, Frank? I mean,
you made the look. You made whatever we look like better.
Oh, you guys, thanks.
It's true. It's being honest.
I promised David we're going to do a new one when this quarantine thing's going to be over. So,
I'll see.
all right, guys, now we're going to play a game called Know Your Enemy. I'm going to ask you questions about one another, and both of you are going to write down your answers.
Write down my answer. Hold on.
A match, all right? What is Frank's favorite song to play live together?
Go for it.
Do I need to write it down, or am I
Both of you
supposed to
need
tell
to
you?
write the answer, and then we see if they match.
Does it have to be an Altitudes and Attitudes song? Is that what it is? Okay.
It can be any song you guys are playing live together. Wrong answer.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I wrote Late and Shock Me.
Oh, Shock Me too. I like that. I like those songs too.
I know. Which one did you write down?
Booze.
Who called the shots in the band?
I'll say.
I don't drink. There are no shots.
Yeah, there are no shots. Who calls?
Come on, guys.
All right, so here's mine. It's, again, 2 answers. Music, it's Frank. With business, it's me.
I was going to put Jay Rustin.
Yeah, totally. We're just slaves to the grind.
Oh, there you go. Okay, all right.
Next question is, what is Frank's celebrity crush?
Ooh, celebrity.
Wow, that's a good one.
That is a good one because Frank. That's we don't sit around and talk about goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we really don't.
I know you both are married.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm being dead serious. It's not one of those things where we just.
To be very respectful.
I mean, look, mine is Scarlett Johansson. That's just open.
That was the next question.
Oh, sorry, Frank. Forget that.
But I would know that, though. I would know that.
You would know that.
I would, but I've never talked about it. But it's always been Michelle Pfeiffer for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
There you go. But it's always been that since forever.
What is David's favorite flavor of coffee?
Regular coffee. Regular flavor, like just straight out, just straight coffee. He doesn't like the flavor stuff.
All right, and
that is true.
The last question of the game is, what cartoon character reminds you of David?
All right, here you go.
I didn't see it.
Say something.
Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Gee, Scoob.
I can see that.
I got the nose, the hair. I don't have a dog. I have to borrow Frank's dog.
Time to get a dog.
You guys, cats. David has cats.
I do have cats. I got 2 killer cats. Surprised you haven't come in here.
Where are they?
Hassle me.
I showed Frank my cat. Where are your cat? Show me your cat. I'll show you mine.
My wife just started a new Instagram page for my cats called Skitty and the Beast. So go over and follow that. I'd be thrilled. Skitty and the Beast. Yeah.
That's a good name. I like that name.
Yeah, for the 2 cats, Skitty and Beast.
That's cool.
All right, guys, I want to know what your thanks for playing the game, and I want to know what's your future plans. If we ever get out of quarantine, what are your plans together or not?
Me and Frank are actually, we just announced we're going to be on the Monsters of Rock cruise in February 2021 with Altitudes and Attitude. So quarantine should be lifted by then.
Hopefully,
Sign me up.
Sailing the high seas. Yeah, so come on out and join us on that.
I'm definitely coming to take some photos.
Yeah. Megadeth, obviously, we got a tour we've announced for June, July, and also October, November. Now everything is okay, so hopefully the storm will pass and everything will be good. And we're working on a new album. We're actually supposed to be recording some of it this week, but we had to push that back. But we'll be getting on that as soon as the coast is clear to do so.
Same here. It's writing. Anthrax is writing. We're all in our cocoons right now.
I'm reminding you that we're going to give one of David's coffees to a lucky fan. Which one do you want to give me again, David?
Whatever one you want. I mean, we can make more. It's only coffee. We can make more.
I don't know. You're very. We have roast in peace.
Do some roast in peace. Yeah, do some roast in peace.
My favorite. But you're going to give me another one because it's my favorite.
Yeah, regular coffee, as Frank calls it. It's my favorite coffee, regular coffee.
We're going to give Roast in Peace signed by David as a giveaway. I want to really thank you for coming to my show.
Wow. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
I love you both. You're such a great inspiration, and I'm so lucky to have you here. If you guys can introduce the song we're going to listen to.
This next song is from a band called Madam Mayhem, which I really like. The song's called Broken. This girl has a really good voice. I have to say that. And really, really strong voice. And I always like strong voices on females and males, for that matter. Just like strong voices. And the production was really good, I thought. So I hope you guys like this. It's called Broken.
see that your eyes are changing, overtaken. I see that your eyes are changing, overtaken, searching for somewhere to hide. I know that my mind is racing, but I won't run. Sometimes love and hate are two of a kind. Oh, I'll never follow you till I'm broken. Oh, I'll never follow you till I'm broken.
Thanks so much for coming to my show.
Thank you, Dana. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Donna.
We'll see you soon.
All right,
Bye.
take care.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for joining us on episode 3 of Super Unknown with David Ellefson of Megadeth and Frank Bello of Anthrax. Super Unknown is usually recorded in New York City in a studio, but we had to go remotely. We had to go quickly, but everybody adjusted to the situation and really put their hearts and soul into this episode. So I really want to thank my dream team, my sound engineer, Saf Spector, my co-producer, Audra Lacey. Thank you guys I couldn't have done it without you. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, leave a comment below. Tell me who do you want to see on the show next. Subscribe and, hit that bell button so you won't miss a thing. To watch episode 1 with Jim James, click here. To watch episode 2 with Fred Armisen, click here. And until the next time, stay safe, stay at home. Tell your friends about the show. Hey, nobody has anything better to do. I'll see you next time on the Super Unknown.